one knows the intricacies of this rivalry better than DeQuell Jackson, who came on early, heard us talking defense, texted me and said, I need in right now. Tag me in partner.
No chair flip today, fellas. I had to jump right in.
You got
what's going on, fellas?
You look pretty nice, dog.
I had to show my pride, man. Anytime we beat the Steelers, you got to look in that moment.
You know he was at home. He pulled up to the stadium. That's a First Energy Stadium fit.
He pulled up.
That is sharp.
They take care of me. What can I say?
Listen,
DeQuell,
bring some back for your boys.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, DeQuell, I'm curious.
I got you.
I'm curious your take. Like, I made the statement on our postgame show last night that Myles Garrett didn't do much. Now, I know he's getting double teamed. He's got triple teamed a few times.
Yeah.
Is that like people got mad at me that I said that? But I'm just stating the fact he didn't do much. Should we expect more because he's a great player, or is it unfair because he had no help on that D-line and they were double and triple teaming him? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think most people get enamored with just the big moments, right? The sacks. Yeah. But he affects the game every time he's out there. Anytime he has the ability to rush the passer, you have to account for two people on him. You can't just leave your tackle in open space and say, hey, you got to defend this guy, Myles Garrett, one of the best, rushers in our game right now, and think you're not going to get beat. So he affects the game in other ways, and he actually, again, I know I'm jumping around, but Joe Woods didn't do enough pressuring last night.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think the way teams are kind of combating, the pressure of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney when he's healthy is the hurry up. I said it a few weeks ago. That's how you tire out a defensive line. You do this hurry up situation where you know you're going to face more of a vanilla style defense. Joe Woods doesn't have time to dial up all these exotic pressures. So you saw Mitchell Trubisky have a lot of success in Matt Canada when they sped things up a bit. And I would expect because they didn't play well against it, they gave up a ton of yards. You're going to see that throughout. Next game, if they don't stop it, you're going to see all these repeat plays start to come up. And to talk about, listen, I think the offense is playing well. We can get into that a little bit later, but the defense. I watched every snap. I was rewinding as much as I could. I was so far behind the game, the actual live game, because I couldn't understand for the life of me why these guys can't play zone defense.
Man,
on the back end, when you look at the underneath defenders from the linebacker standpoint, Joker, I watched him thoroughly. These guys spend too much time watching the quarterback and not reading routes behind you. That's zone coverage. Zone coverage isn't old school, high school, where you drop to a zone and you stare at the quarterback. You have to read routes in the NFL, and they don't do a good enough job of all being on one accord, dropping to in your coverage, reading routes, and everyone's communicating. So that's why Joe Woods decided, you know what, I'm going to play man. I'm going to force Mitchell Trubisky to try to throw the ball down the field, which he had success doing at times late in the ball game where, I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, here we go again. This thing could slip away from us. But, he got his senses back and he started going, man, this team is better suited defensively playing man coverage than they are zone. And it starts with everyone. And to lose AWOL, to lose Joker, I thought Jacob Phillips and Sion, how do you say his last name?
Taki played well.
Taki. Yeah. I thought they played very well.
Yes.
And I'll add this last point. Joe Woods and Kevin Stefanski, they need to come up with a system, a rotational system with your linebackers. Because here's the problem, guys. When I played the game, I was always on the field. I was a first and second down backer. I was a third down backer. And you would sub out the other backer, bring in the more, smaller backer, if you will, faster backer, the guard, to be better in space. So what I'm saying is because of the inability on the back end, these guys are miscommunicating the last few weeks. You need a steady hand, a guy you're going to hear from that makes all the checks, that you're used to hearing. You trust he's going to make all the right checks. You trust he knows what he's talking about. He can line guys up. There's too much interchanging between linebackers. They play a ton of personnel sets. I love it. You want to keep guys fresh, but it's screwing up the flow of how they play defense. You need a guy. If AWOL is going to be the guy, he needs to be your first and second down guy. And then now I think Jacob Phillips, he's gotten everybody's attention that he needs more playing time.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Played great last night.
DeQuell,
Yeah, he did. He was all over.
McNuggets wants to read something from Tyvis before I ask this question. Go ahead.
Yeah, DeQuell, Tyvis texted me during that answer, and he said the reason, well, I'll say this exactly word for word as he texted it. Tell DeQuell the reason they play zone like that is because they're taught 99.9%, meaning it's all QB driven. Keep your eyes on the QB, melt with his eyes. It'll take you to the route.
Right. You could tell. You could actually tell. So if I was a linebacker coach, when I was with some guys in the past, coach me in Cleveland, I used to approach zone coverage just like that. Until he was like, son, do you want to make plays in this league or not? I was like, hell yeah. So let me give you a tip. The quicker you get to your zone, you start reading concepts, you understand, okay, where's my threat? And you start reading routes, you can anticipate where the ball is going to be thrown. Mm-hmm. And every one of these underneath defenders, they lock in too much on the quarterback's eyes. The quarterback is going to lie to you every time. Yeah. You need to read his shoulders, you need to read routes, get your depth, and now let's play ball. And Tyvis is absolutely right. You see even nickelbacks, the dime backers, and the underneath defenders, then they don't play well in zone. And I don't know if it's a coaching deal, but someone in that room needs to address it. And in practice, let's say in practice, when we would practice zone drops, there will be a body out there, whether it be a coach or another player. So you get used to dropping to a zone and feeling the body and relating and being in good phase of the routes behind you. That's what they're missing. And they're getting exposed with it late in ball games. You know, it's driving me crazy.
You know what's concerning, DeQuell, is like obviously you sharing these concerns, things that like the average fan's certainly not going to know. What makes me worried is they haven't even faced a good quarterback yet.
No.
Right? They've faced 3 average to or worse quarterbacks. So when they start facing
they're going to see
really
Burrow,
good
they're
quarterbacks.
Going to see Allen, they're going to see Brady.
Right.
Man,
exactly.
Yes.
Justin Herbert, like what are those guys going to do if they're reading the quarterback's eyes now when you're playing not great quarterbacks?
DeQuell, did they go to I was wondering if they went to man. I know it clears up the communication issues, but is going to man the long-term answer? Because at some point they're going to need to play zone, and they're going to have to do it properly, or teams are going to force them into that, and it's not going to be pretty.
Right. I think you have to do a bit of fudging the coverage now when, let's say, for instance, there was a point in the game, late in the ball game, where, again, they had a 10 or 9-point lead, if you will, and they played quarters coverage. Quarters coverage, 3-by-1, you know where the ball is going. It's almost the inside back is matched up on a slot receiver. So in 4 plays, they were able to get 54 yards in like 50 seconds. Mm-hmm. Problem. And to answer your question, heck no. It's hard. At some point, these guys will get run down from playing man coverage every single snap for 50 plays a game. That's exhausting. That's going to wear your defense down. And the point I'll make is this. When I was in Indy, we had a guy by the name of Vontae Davis. In 2014, I've never seen anyone play the defensive back position better than he had, other than Joe Hayden. And so what we would do to fudge a quarters coverage, if he was on the backside of a 3-receiver set, I would tell him lock, right? So that meant, you know what? Everyone else can erase this receiver out of the equation. Right. That way we can push the coverage to where the strength of the formation is. So we were able to do that. They're going to have to find a way to use Denzel Ward, who you paid a ton of money to, have him play man, shut down half of the field, so that way you can manipulate, you can have more bodies to relate to, the strength of the formation. But they have to get this corrected.
So DeQuell, when you say that, right? I see exactly what you're saying. It's like hooping, right? We're cutting half the floor off, right? But somebody out there has to be the de facto leader, giving direction out here. I don't see that. Right. I see you just like everybody out here on an island, and like everybody's in a panic mode because like I got my man, right? That's not what we're doing here. Who is that person?
Exactly right. They don't have it right now. And anywhere I've been, when I was a signal caller, I was so demonstrative with my calls, and we had this saying: if we're all wrong, we're all right. So if I made the wrong call, the wrong check, everyone believed me that they knew I was accountable, responsible, all these different things. They played what I call. Even though we were wrong, at least all 11 guys were on the same page. They don't have that guy in the back end. Everyone, and you would think going into the season, this was going to be a stronghold of this team, this unit.
We did.
And particularly in the back end, adding Emerson, Newsome, and all these guys, you have so much depth. But for whatever reason, they don't communicate well. They don't have that leader in the back end. AWOL can only do too much. From linebackers. You're right. They're gonna have to go out and find a veteran that at least understands the coverage and understands how to communicate. And I would preach at this point, you have to over communicate with everything. And what I'm seeing, what tends to happen with a younger group is you communicate just a call, right? But you don't communicate based on the formation. Say, hey, alert for the smash and go, alert for the deep over, alert for. I don't see a lot of guys pointing and doing all the pre-snap reading and talking to everyone else around them. So that's a problem that I noticed just from being a spectator, just from watching it. But
maybe we should sign Joe Hayden to more than a one-day contract.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I agree. You said something right there, and I've been thinking about this for about 2-3 years. I said back in the day, and I used to see people jumping routes. But to jump a route, you got to know what the route is. I see people, and there's a lot of people that have no depth perception. People think you can just drop. Right. What depth perception, they say, hey, I drop, they tell a defensive end, drop in the coverage. Yeah, that sounds good, but you have no depth perception. You don't know what your landmarks are. You don't know what your keys are. You're like, drop by the hash. What's that? I don't see a lot of these people on our defense that understand where the route combinations is coming from, because it would look like, because quarterbacks are doing you like this. The good ones will look you off like this, like Magic Johnson. See? You ain't even looking at how you know he was coming.
Patrick Mahomes
do you like this. Now, for me, I believe that you need somebody in the secondary. You need somebody at linebacker. You need somebody as a defensive tackle.
Why can't it be John Johnson? I mean, he's a veteran. What the hell's he doing?
Maybe he ain't got it.
Right. Yeah, for whatever, right. Some guys, they show up, they do their job. They're not real, big talkers. Right. They could be a big talker in the meeting room, but when those bullets are flying, when you're in the throes of the game and guys are looking at what I noticed, they're not looking to a guy to line everyone else up. Everyone's like, oh, I got my job. I have my job. I have my job. That is a sign of disaster.
But DeQuell,
you need a guy.
Should Denzel Ward be that guy? I mean, we thought he was
that guy.
He's
a cornerback. Cornerbacks can't. In the meeting room, he can lead, but during the course of the game,
I'm just talking about the leader of that group, because I don't see. They look like a bunch of guys that are individuals and not playing like a group.
Safety or linebacker. Exactly. A corner don't even have to get in the huddle. Real talk. A corner,
especially if they're unmanned.
If they don't even have to, they can just they be to the side. You need a safety or a linebacker that line everybody up. And like you said, I ain't heard that in a while. If they make the wrong call, as long as you run that wrong call, you're all right. It might not be the optimum play, but at least you'll be in a
everybody's
position.
on the same page.
Yes, they're there.
So
everyone's on the same page.
DeQuell, give us some real talk here. I want you some real talk. When they had this play, that players only meeting yesterday, it had to occur. Tell me why. Tell people why that had to occur yesterday.
Yeah. Was it yesterday? Didn't it happen a
couple days ago?
Couple days ago.
Yeah, I think they needed to, because listen, there was a lot of expectations on this ball club, and there's a lot of guys making good money. Again, this was, to me, normally when you hear about teams doing players only meetings, you're like, oh, here we go. This is the beginning of the end. But I thought it was necessary. I've been involved in many of them. And it's a way, this is when you say you want to keep it real, Brad.
Yeah, keep it 100.
During those meetings, when the leaders stand up, they're calling guys out.
Absolutely.
They're telling guys, I need you to play better. I need to play better. You need to play. And it's a grown man discussion.
Grown man.
And you got to bring your big boy pants. And listen, it's a sign of, you know what? We must win this week. We have the Steelers coming up. We need to get our crap together. We need to get on the same page. Now, they played better, but it's still some things they need to work on. But those players-only meetings, I thought it was necessary. And I heard through the grapevine that Anthony Walker led majority of that. But those are the type of things when leaders kind of rise to the top. But here we here we are during the course of that game. He's out. He's going to miss significant time.
DeQuell, just tell him this too. In that big boy meeting, everybody in there can get checked. You can get. I don't care how much money you make. You can get checked. I watched him check Jordan in the meeting. Like, what you talking about? We talking to you. That's who we talking to.
Yes.
I was like, this is how it's going down.
Yeah, it is necessary. I've been involved where, in Indy, in Cleveland, a ton of those meetings in Cleveland, unfortunately. And
more than you wanted to.
But here's the good news, DeQuell, is that for years, including most of the time you were here, pretty much all the time you were here, those meetings didn't turn into wins, and like the fact that we've just complained about all the negatives for the last 10 minutes, when they won to improve to 2-1 is a good sign that we're like, hey, this team's winning, and yet they should be better because they got to do this. So let's switch it up to the offense, which the offense is playing great, much better than we would have thought of, especially the passing game the last two games. Let's start with that. Jacoby Brissett was awful in the first game, but he's been really, really good these last two games. Have you ever seen him play as well as he has these last two?
No, but can I say this? Did you guys give me any credit? Because my headline the last time I was in studio, what was my headline, McNuggets? Jacoby finally takes command of this offense. Did anyone give me any credit? Did I get any credit for that?
Was that for this game, or that was for 2 games ago? And he didn't do that.
That was for the Jets game. He played. I thought he played a really good game until obviously
but he didn't emerge as the leader that he did last night.
Okay, that's fair, but I still want some credit.
Give credit. No, for the record, we didn't pick any winners last week because everyone thought the Browns would win.
Yeah, we didn't have a
no
winning headline.
winner. You would have won had the Browns came back and won.
If a minute 55 went on the clock.
DeQuell's headline was just sort of split. The main headline was for Game 2, and the subhead was for Game 3.
That's right.
You're just Nostradamus that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I think Jacoby Brissett, no one thought he would play this efficiently.
No.
And I heard G say before I joined the show, he's playing like a top 15 quarterback in this league. I would argue he's a little bit higher than that. He's making it from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. I mean, there was a point in the game last night where clearly he's comfortable orchestrating this offense from an empty set. He can see the field. Mm-hmm. It's an easier read from a defensive standpoint, and he was anticipating throws, anticipating routes from Cooper. Njoku had a career day in the first half, add a touchdown to it. He was clicking on all cylinders, and this is a great sign. It's just they could be so much better. It doesn't have to be this close. Again, it came down to an onside kick.
I know.
This team is a lot better than what they're playing, and they're 2-1 right now, which is a great sign. You're winning games.
DeQuell, is that a credit to Stefanski? Is he coaching him up?
No doubt.
So he gets much of the credit for this, right?
I think so. I think he settled in. I think they got together, and he's like, hey, Jacoby, give me your list of plays that you're very comfortable with when we need to spread the ball around. And they're finding it out. And it's going to show you. Look, in the last 2 games, especially last night, I mean, I've never seen this from Baker. I've never seen him efficiently throw the ball around and be comfortable, be decisive of getting the ball out of his hands and using what the defense gives you. And, there was a lot of plays that Kevin Stefanski schemed up. The 3rd and 1, for instance, Cooper's wide open down the field. It was a great route, but he's wide open. So it's a combination of them really trusting each other. And I tell you, the biggest play of that game for me offensively was obviously the 4th down conversions were big. Yeah. And it would have been 100% if, Amari Cooper catches the ball on 4th and 2. But when he had a quarterback sneak and he got up and he was so emotional and he got the crowd into it, that reminded me of a Tom Brady. At that moment, I realized, you know what? Guys are behind him. He's playing and he's playing with a lot of freaking confidence, man.
Yeah, that was perhaps a turning point moment.
Yeah,
certainly in the game, but maybe
fired
in
everybody
the season
up.
Because we've been asking DeQuell for the last 2 weeks, who is the leader on this team? It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like there's anybody willing to step up and say it's mine. McNuggets, what do you got?
Hey, DeQuell, actually, I do have a question about that. Brissett is unbelievable at those 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 QB sneaks. From a defensive standpoint, how in the world do you stop that when the quarterback's 6'4", 6'5" like that and weighs 230? Is it even possible?
You gotta get lucky. You better hope your D lineman gets lower than the offensive line, because he does a great job. Most quarterbacks who haven't really been in that situation a ton, they'll run right behind the center, even though they have two defensive linemen in both A gaps and a linebacker looking right at you over the center. They don't know how to find the open window, and he's a big enough body and a tough enough guy to be able to work from both A gaps to the tackle position. So I think he does a great job at it, and it's so difficult to defend. 4th and inches, 4th and 1, when you know you have a big, strong quarterback, it is very hard to defend, and you just got to get lucky.
Let me ask you a question on this thing here, right? What type of people need to be on the onside kick front line?
Guys that can catch.
Tell me who, because that's Scrumville up here. This is about.
Yeah, but the ball went through DPJ's hands yesterday.
Yeah, so who needs to be on that line there, right? What type of person?
When I was watching that game, I was like, if I don't see a linebacker on that front line that at least can block and catch, I mean, you got to have guys that can catch. Right, but you have to have guys that are tough enough to be able to meet force with force. So a lot of guys don't want to sign up to do that. I mean, there's one play that you work on once a week, and you don't really spend much time on it. But I guarantee you, Kevin Stefanski and the special teams coach, they're looking at switching some bodies out, because you need some tough guys when it comes to that. Because you can win or lose games, and they've lost a game based on them not being the inability to recover or block. And just catch the football, man. So I don't know. They got their work cut out, man, because those are plays that you shouldn't have to worry about.
Last year it was 4% effective, and we've almost had 2 of them against us already.
Timeout, guys. This is a disgrace, all right?
It is.
Hold on. This is a bad job out of everybody. Everybody's getting a bad job, especially Mikey McNuggets. He's the producer of the show, and he has dropped the ball. The only one who doesn't get a bad job for this is me, because I tried to get it earlier.
You're doing the talking.
Okay. Well, gets a bad job. You all get a bad job.
He has a separated shoulder from
patting
himself on the back.
43 minutes into the show, and we have barely mentioned the player who is by far the best player on this football team, and that is Nick Chubb. I know it's boring to talk about Nick Chubb because he kicks.
Chubb?
We barely mentioned him. Huh? We barely mentioned him. Can we talk about him for a minute here? Nick Chubb is the best player on the Browns. It's not debatable, okay? Not debatable. He's phenomenal. All he does is every weekend, they're gonna put 9 in the box. Put 11 in the box. I don't give a rat's ass, and neither does he. Okay? He is the best running back in football. He is going to probably go to the Hall of Fame. He is a magnificent player. He does everything right. He represents the NFL, but he's boring because we talk about it all the time, and he does it every week. He cannot be stopped.
DeQuell, before you go, I have to defend myself here.
Please do.
Failure, but
the rundown.
The statements he just made just now are shocking. Nick Chubb is good?
I didn't say Nick Chubb is good.
DeQuell, I sent you the rundown this morning. Did I not have the first 30 minutes as offense? And
you are the producer. You failed.
At 11:16, you guys pivoted to defense.
Well, you brought in a defensive player. I mean, when we have a defensive player on,
you
we've got to
dropped the ball.
Well, DeQuell said I want to hop in because we're talking defense.
You dropped the ball, Mike.
By the way,
you can stick to the script, bro.
Since the very beginning,
the guest is a defensive player.
I was the creator of the words. So what? You got to stop me. Don't tell me about how many boxes you got, how many people in them. I'm running them until you stop me. Ain't no one to stop them.
No one can stop him. No one can stop him. The guy. How many times last night was he hitting the backfield and still got a yard or two instead of a 3-yard loss or a 4-yard loss?
Or a linebacker with a clean hit on him, he just bounced off.
I don't care about McCaffrey. I don't care about none of these guys. He's the best.
Last night he been doing this since he been here. Anthony, go to my graphic if you have it, please.
Do you have Brad's graphic? What's your graphic? I like that. At one point, Al Michaels even said about Nick Chubb, this guy's good.
Here's my graphic. There it is. Please.
Run the ball.
It's not.
Where did you get that shirt? I need one of those.
This is not scientific theory here. I got 2 dogs in the back.
Look at that trashy-looking Steeler fan right in front of you guys. See him?
Just run the ball, Kevin. Just run the ball. To Bull's point, You got two studs back here,
I
right?
want one that says Hunt and Chubb together.
Right.
I want that one too.
Just get a shirt that says Chunk.
We saw a little bit of it last
I'm
night.
not getting a shirt that says Chunk.
Yeah, like 4
Stop
times.
That word's
DeQuell,
been banned from this show.
I think
You know, Herbie dropped it yesterday on the broadcast.
Yeah,
I think
and he's gonna get a text message
DeQuell,
from
I
me.
think Nick Chubb is one of the greatest backs I've ever seen. And I like the other day, a month ago or 2 months ago, G was like, I think he's going to be better than Emmitt Smith when he's all said and done. And everybody was like, what? I agree with him.
Yeah.
I think this guy is one of the greatest backs to ever play the game, and I don't think that's an exaggeration.
Well, the numbers prove it.
Yeah,
His
if he can
yards
stay
per carry
healthy, he
average
will go
proves
down
it.
as one of the best to do it, for sure. If he can stay healthy and they can keep him healthy and protect him. And listen, the guy is, he gets 20 to 30 carries every week, and you know what you're going to get. And it's like he gets better the more as the game unfolds.
Yep.
Later in the game, he gets better and better, and you can always count on him. I can't remember the last time he didn't show up.
So they,
he's always been productive.
They interviewed him after the game. I don't know if everybody saw that. They interviewed him after the game.
Yeah.
He's a real mild
He's
mannered
as
guy.
mellow a superstar as you'll ever find.
But what he did say was this. He said, listen, having Hunt in the backfield, we're a great companionship together between the both of us. He pushes me to be better. We push each other to be better.
Sure.
No
and
doubt.
I like the fact that he gets to spell me and we get to spell one another.
Yeah.
So the two-pronged thing is working.
It's
right?
definitely
It's
working.
definitely
And
working.
That picture that you had of Chubb on that graphic that was early in the game, might have been his first carry. If his knee doesn't clip Minka Fitzpatrick's helmet,
He's gone.
Yeah.
It's
He's gone.
touchdown. And
Yeah,
it barely,
no doubt.
And it would
barely
have been a
got
highlight
clipped.
one because he tried to jump over him.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think Browns
Hey,
running backs
Will-
are addicted to hurdling, by the way.
That's the thing in the league, though. I mean,
Najee
Harris had one last night that
Oh,
was smooth.
hey.
That
I
other
don't wanna
kid,
lick your
by the way, that
chocolate.
other kid looked a lot better than Najee Harris.
Who's that, John Johnson?
Hey,
oh, my God.
Listen, we got to put an APB out
Oh, who?
for John Johnson's jockstrap.
Oh,
He
my
got
God.
I know we do.
He got
it
smoked
knocked
on
off.
that play.
Hey, no disrespect, no disrespect, my G. I got love for
It
you.
happens.
But
Yeah.
Najee Harris, hey, that woke a lot of people up.
That's going to be an awkward moment in film study.
What's the other kid that was running for Pittsburgh? I can't think of his name
The
now.
rookie from Oklahoma
number
State.
30.
I thought he looked really
Wallace.
good, that guy.
He runs hard.
Yeah.
Wow, he looked
runs
really
really
good.
hard.
And that catch by Pickens was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that was big
it
time.
wasn't as good as OBJ's,
But it was
it's
in
in the
there.
conversation.
It was
It's in
close.
the conversation.
My arms
I
don't
know
even
what
go
was better
behind
than
my neck. Let me
let's
stop
get
right
in
here.
Hey,
Go
Bull,
ahead,
I got a confession to make, Bull.
Yeah.
Before the show, I was watching. I can't stop watching that video of you in that trash can. I'm not gonna lie.
It's one of my greatest moments ever.
These are my confessions.
But it will go down in history, man. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, man. So
I find it
apologize.
funny. It happened to me. I mean,
I
it
have
wasn't
a- I
funny
have
for
a
me
little
at the moment.
kick
But
out.
Well, watching your reaction as you watched the tape of Bull throwing up
Yeah.
live on the show was just about as
good.
good for us because
good.
your reaction was priceless.
Yeah, the only person I feel bad for is Brad because he had to smell it. So I feel bad for Brad. That was
you
the
feel
only
bad for
person.
Brad. I was the one who was sick. You feel bad for Brad.
Do you see my face? I was like, I hope I don't get no overspray.
We actually had a block party. We actually had a block party on my block, and I'm sitting with a bunch of people there, and a couple of people were like, "Were you really throwing up?" I was like, "Yeah, I was really throwing up."
When I got upstairs into the Channel 3 newsroom, everybody was coming up to me saying, "Did Bull really throw up live on the show?" I said, yeah, he did.
I had so
He
many
did.
calls and messages from people who weren't here asking if that was real and what we should do after.
Why would people
Listen,
think I made that up? That's so strange.
Here's what's amazing to me. It hasn't gone viral.
Yeah.
How did that not go
I
viral?
thought for
Right.
sure it would.
Hey guys, you mind if I ask you guys a question? What did you guys think of Njoku? Last night.
Yeah.
I know
That's
he
the
had a
guy
career
we
day,
paid-
but
that's the
is
guy
this
we're
something
paying
we
for.
can depend on?
Yeah.
You got to keep feeding the beast, baby.
Yep.
He's always had that ability, DeQuell. At times they've gone away from him. At times, earlier in his career, he had major drop issues. But the only incompletion to him yesterday, he got his legs taken out, and he lost the ball.
And he
hit the
almost
ground.
caught it.
And he still almost caught the ball.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the best games he's ever played.
They went to him like they meant to go to him. I'm
Yeah.
tired of fooling around with Harrison Bryant. Go to Njoku.
Yeah, I
Go
agree.
to Njoku.
I agree.
Right?
Well,
Stop moving around
that was the plan against the empty set. You know, he's going to have a linebacker matched up on him, and I'll take that matchup every day of the week.
Yeah, that's what
and
I was
they had no
going to ask
answer
you.
for it.
DeQuell, that's what I was going to ask you.
Games,
we can't really expect that kind of production
block.
every game out of them. It was just that was what the Steelers were. That was the look that they were giving the Browns, and Stefanski and Brissett took advantage of it, right?
Yes,
We better get ready.
I thought it was great on
heat
their
coming
part.
down the pipeline.
I knew he was due for one. I always know when somebody ready to go based on what they were before the pregame. And I see the Njoku. I said, "Oh, you got the all gray Manjella, huh?"
Wait, first of all, did you see when he was walking around in pregame with no shirt on?
If I was on him, I'd walk around with no shirt
I would
too.
play without a shirt.
I didn't see that, but what I was concerned about at the NG was when he was walking in the tunnel. Go in the tunnel. I don't need you to stand there and take your glory bows.
Yeah, I know.
We got away here today, bro. We did it just enough to get away here, bro.
My wife is watching football now, right? She be watching the games more intuitively, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, babe, that Brissett, that Jacoby Brissett, he's okay. But he fooled me because his body don't look like Myles Garrett. I said, babe, that's not normal. That's freaking.
That's all Photoshop.
Everybody don't look like Myles Garrett. She's like, oh, okay, I know, but he's good then.
We have a new Browns fan.
That's
We have a new Browns fan. DeQuell, the one thing that we haven't talked about that I want your thoughts on, because I know Prefer's, widely thought of, very highly thought of in the organization. He's a local guy. Is he?
Is he?
DeQuell, we all need one of those when we're talking about the Browns special teams right now.
But you had a punt block last night, and I'll tell you, when we decided to punt the ball away at the end of the game, I'm like, are we really going to do this right now? We're going to punt the ball away? Because there was one tipped earlier. What are you seeing in special teams that collectively it looks like these guys are they're not there?
Yeah, I see there's going to be some changes. If things don't get better, there will be a lot of changes made. And Kate York needs to get out of his glory days from week one and understand he needs to reach out to Phil Dawson, who came here for many years, to figure out how this wind blows in the stadium. But the special teams, this team right now, outside of offensively, the defense is playing awful. I'm going to use your word. And the special teams has been you cannot have these blemishes from your special teams unit. You cannot have it. And they're lucky to be 2-1 right now.
You're right.
They should be 3-1, and they're not even playing on all cylinders. They're not playing as well as we know they can. But, hopefully this continues. It's correctable. It can be fixed. But in terms of a punt block, it shouldn't happen. It should not.
By the way, real quick, guys. Sorry, because everybody was asking about Njoku. It is tied for the second most targets he's ever had. It's the most receptions he's ever had, and the second most yards he's ever had in 100-yard games.
He's had multiple touchdown games before.
Right.
Yeah, but they were
the second most yards he's
he
ever
was
had.
a factor. They were looking for him, right?
He looked like a guy that you'd pay
I'm looking for you.
Yeah.
But let's go back to your comment on Cade York. Was it me or did you see his face like he looked nervous when he was coming out the kick?
Well,
I felt that too.
Did you see him?
Listen,
I was like, are you nervous?
Wait a minute. But how about after the Steelers miss, that they took the cutaway of what's their kicker's name?
Boswell.
They took the cutaway of his face, and he was like, "What the hell did I just see?"
Yeah.
I mean, that ball just went.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen. Like I know it's a miss. He's going to have more. Sure. Nobody's 100%. He's going to have more. He did hit the upright. Wasn't like he shanked it. Wasn't like it was a horrible kick.
The win.
But
Make the kick.
In these conditions, you're just going to see kicks that the win last night. You were at the game.
Jay, I wasn't getting home, but I was.
Oh, I thought you.
I was going to a tailgate.
Oh, so when you pulled up here,
when you saw me walking from the studio down the street to the tailgate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to
Jay. It was like a tornado.
It was unbelievable.
The wind was unbelievable.
It was, and that's when I literally said at that point, hope it doesn't come down to a kick, because you're not making one in this weather.
I was doing a pregame show on the radio, and I see Mike Polk. I thought Mike Polk got lifted off his feet. I just started. I said, "Is that the Scarecrow?" No, that's Mike Polk. he was like, AG, he was flying and stuff. I said, oh, Lord. It was 35 miles. So, and it was raining.
It's a miss, and it goes on his record, and he's got to be better. But, it's not like he was indoors or the conditions were
You
good.
saw when they talked about the thing, Phil Dawson, they don't look at the flags on the field goal.
Right.
Yeah, they
Phil,
look at the
Phil
one in
Dawson
the
put the
corner.
one in the corner. He
Yeah.
said, this is the one you look at.
And he knows that. He knows which flag to look at.
Well,
But I agree with Brett. I thought he looked nervous.
He looked
late in the
nervous.
game.
I did too. No, I'm with
did.
you guys. I
He
thought
did.
the look on say, let's do game balls. Who gets your game ball?
Because he had a career day, I got to go with Njoku, but
It's a good one.
listen, you can easily give it to Jacoby Brissett because no one thought he was going to be playing as well as he has him. But I'm going to give it to the guy that had a career day. I'm going to expect that from Jacoby Brissett.
It is tough. Who do you give it to, Will?
I'll give you a surprise guy we haven't even mentioned yet because he will represent the rest of the group. I'll give it to Joel Bitonio.
He played block
Joel
12.
Bitonio is like with Quentin Nelson of the Colts. They're the two best guards in football. He always makes the play. The offensive line has been outstanding, even though they've had some guys in and out, right? You had Conklin out the
Maybe
first 2 weeks.
Callahan deserves the game ball.
Yeah, Hudson's done a great job. He came in last night when Jedrick Wills missed a few plays. No drop
By the way,
off there.
Jedrick Wills
Oh.
looked absolute
Terrible.
like an undrafted free agent on one play in
Who is
particular.
this?
You know what I'm talking
Jedrick
about.
Wills. He
Oh,
got
my.
spun all the way around. Which way did he go? It was
Looked like he had a bag over his head.
He's a human top.
But listen, and he already top heavy. He's a guard. Let's just be clear. He's a guard. He has guard feet. I'm sorry. He has guard mobility, and we have two great guards, so we can't play there. He's not, to me, he's not better than Hudson. He's not. Jedrick Wills, to me, he's had 3 years. This is a number 10 pick. This top 10.
Yeah.
Christian Wirfs is one of the best. Drafted the same
He always
draft.
gets rolled up on, too.
I know he does.
I can't be playing that bad. They're not getting any pressure
No,
on Brissett
but
at all.
there was one play in particular where I looked at him and I thought,
Yeah.
That's how
my
good-
goodness,
and we
that's
were
a
worried about
first-round draft
Pocic
pick.
at center. He's played pretty well.
Let me give you my game ball.
Game ball goes
So,
to?
it is Jacoby Brissett by far because this team was in search of a leader, right? In search of and somebody finally took the mantle. Like, this is my crew, right? You with me, right? And I was like, thank the Lord. Finally.
Bush, who gets your game ball?
Man, I could easily give it. I could give it to Chubb every week. I can give it to. I love what Jacoby Brissett did, but I'll try to mix it up. Man, this is what we was waiting for. The number one receiver, right?
Yeah.
He dropped the ball, but
He a
that's
beast.
that's 2 games back to back where I don't know when that last time we seen 2 receivers,
Right.
2 back to back
So you're
games.
gonna give it to Cooper.
I'll give it to Amari Cooper.
All right. The reason I wanted to do this little exercise is because mine's going to Chubb.
Yeah.
We've got 5 different guys getting game balls.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So that's how you win football games
I think you
in
can
the
make a
NFL.
case to Jacob Phillips, too.
Well, there's other guys we didn't
Yeah.
mention.
So
Absolutely,
Jay,
Phillips.
Jay, let's ask DeQuell this. DeQuell, what happens when they start doubling up Cooper? Start sitting on him?
Oh, yeah. These other guys, David Bell, some of these other guys that are guys, they're going to have their opportunities. They better have their opportunities. And they're going to have their opportunities, and they need to be ready when those opportunities come. Bell had a situation yesterday where he caught. I heard you say it earlier, Brad. He caught a ball across the middle, and I was with you. I'm like, is he going to get there at some point? Because he's moving. It was like he was moving. He was running backwards.
He was in cement.
No speed.
He got yanked up like he was asking for something at the grocery
don't have to
store.
be fast to be
like
a
my
good
kid got
receiver.
loose at the grocery store. Get on back over
helps,
here.
But they're going to have their opportunities, and the other guys. And Jacoby Brissett is doing. Listen, he's giving what the defense, was allowing him to do. And Njoku had a big day, and Amari continues to pile up really good games. And I'm sure he's going to get more attention next week. And so these other guys, Kevin Stefanski's got to be aware of that. But that 2-back set, I'm sure we'll see some of that come back into play because.
Right.
With Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, man, I'll toss it to him 9 times out of 10 and say, hey, you go beat that guy in front of him.
Yeah, we want to see more than that. So
Atlanta's defense is trash. So
we had 5 different guys get a game ball, all offensive players.
Yeah.
Here's something that
All
we haven't
offense.
talked about but needs to be discussed because maybe this is going to be a bend but don't break. The Steelers were 1 for 9 on 3rd down last night. If you hold your opponent to 1 for 9 on 3rd down, you're winning the
11%.
game. You're winning. That's all there is to it. So, I know that we were picking apart the defense, but when it mattered, and particularly they had back-to-back 3-and-outs before the long drive that led to the field goal, They had back-to-back 3-and-outs that were critical in the fourth quarter, and that's when all the eyes are hot. 17 against Carolina in the fourth quarter. 17 the Jets put up on the Browns.
Steelers had 3 points in the whole second half.
Yeah, 3 points in the second half.
Yeah.
So the defense overall gets a shout-out. You got 5 offensive guys getting game balls, and the defense was 1 of 9 on third down. That's the formula to win.
And we forgot about this. This is so important. Let's talk about the impact Anthony Schwartz had.
He only was
All
on
right, now we can move on to our next topic.
I think he was only on the field for like 5 plays.
He was on the milk carton. They said, we're not doing that no more. I saw him run down on kickoff. They let the ball bounce over his head.
Yeah.
That was spirit.
And this was after a win. You know,
I know.
we're talking like this after a win. Oh, man.
McNuggets has something for you before we say goodbye to you.
G hard
What
on
do you got, Mike?
people.
Yeah, to go before Ash, just want to remind everybody, if you are not already subscribed to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Channel, you absolutely should. You'd be silly not to. Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. We got the Quell every Friday. Tim Couch on Mondays. Leroy on Wednesdays. The lineup stacked. You're kind of a fool if you're not. The Quell, right? They're a fool if they're not subscribed already, right?
Tell them to Quell.
Absolutely.
On the road to 15K.
You get to,
But
you get to enjoy our special analysis.
I do have one more question. Let's take tag board 4 real quick. The Quell, last week you on the field, you met Aditi.
Yes.
I think your son's bigger than Aditi already.
Right.
Oh.
But when I
serious.
saw Aditi, I was like, Aditi, hey. She looked at me and was like, who the hell is this big man? I was like, the Quell, it's the Quell, it's the Quell. So she saw my son running around, and I told her, I was like, I'm warning you, he's heavy.
3?
that kid is 3 years old.
Yeah, he's 3. He's big, man.
He looks like he's 7.
He's named after Prince Fielder.
The Quill, what size shoe he got on here? Hold on.
Man, that's probably a size 5, I want to say. His feet are big.
That's men's
His feet are
size.
pretty big. His mother's big.
Hey, bro, let me find.
My wife is 5'9", and so he's gonna be pretty big. So
Maryland already
he's
at your house?
bigger.
Maryland already at your
What's
house?
that? What'd you say?
Is the coach from Maryland already at your house?
Oh no, he's been around. He's been keeping his eye on him, but I was like, nah, it's too early. It's too early. He's a good athlete. My son is a really good athlete, man. He's always throwing the ball around and kicking the soccer ball, and he's just into it. He really is.
Make him a pitcher.
Aditi, I don't want to hear nothing about no workman's comp. You pick that big boy up. Don't be trying to say you can't go to the sideline. Your whole left side is numb. Look at that big. That kid is 225.
And that was like two quick shots, and she couldn't pick him up after that. I was like, all right, that's got to be enough. You'll wear yourself out trying to pick him up.
That kid is 3 years old.
Do you guys remember DeQuell sent us a video of his son working out with them a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah, well, I remember.
I was on that.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I saw it.
Oh, Jay is so he likes to run the treadmill and run on the treadmill and grab my little weights, and he'll work out every now and again. But I'm not trying to. Well, my trainer, he had him holding kettlebells and walking around the track. I didn't think he could do it, but my son did it. He did it with ease, and he wanted more. So
and then you had to put him in a car seat. You ain't supposed to be working out and then go in the car seat.
Right,
that's an oxymoron.
And I was actually on the show, and we had to cut the show because he was just tired. He was sweating. He was tired.
That's why I know them Terps is sitting outside. That's why I know them Terps is sitting outside your house waiting on you. They're like,
oh yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting. He's gonna be a
he
big
can
boy.
come to camp for free.
Yeah. We got to get this kid an agent.
I found the video. Hold on, give us 1
All right,
second.
let me
We'll
see
get
that
the
video. He's going to have an NIL before he's 6 years old.
This is messed up. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, we were working on agility right here, so he was actually pretty good. He loved it. It was a big game to him. Look at it. Look at it. He's just laughing.
Yeah,
he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
And he finished the drill. He finished the drill.
Athlete, though.
You ain't gonna hit me.
He 3?
He definitely
he's 3. He'll be 4
he
in
looks like
November.
he's like 6, 7 years old.
Bro, that
But look at his agility. Look at
Oh, no, you ain't got me.
He finished the drill. Finished through the cone, son.
Hey,
Thank you,
finish
crowd.
through the line. Finish through the line.
You know, we need to send this to Anthony Schwartz.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding.
They're about the same height.
Man.
I'm kidding.
He loved it.
Yeah, gonna make him go back
Absolutely
over.
DeQuell, you're the
All right,
best, man.
DeQuell, we'll see you next week.
Have a
buddy.
great weekend.
All right,
Let's
DeQuell.
Hey, G.
wait, kiss us off.
Oh, yeah, there
Thanks,
he is.
man.
Yeah. There he is.
Courtesy of G. Thank you, brother.
That white label. Yes, sir.
So how is the 15-year-old different from the 14-year-old?
You know what? When I finish the bottle, I'll tell you. How about that?
Nice.
All right, Pete. Have a great weekend.
See you later.
The great DeQuell Jackson.
All right, see you guys.